From the field to the card shop, it's Moon 3PO and Bro PO breaking down baseball on the hottest sports cards. Bro PO, it's a Monday night, 9:30 Central Standard Time to be exact. How's your night going? Did you enjoy some baseball today? I know we had some crazy doubleheaders between the Mets and the Braves. Did you enjoy your games? How's your night going so far?
Yeah, I got to I caught a little bit of I caught a majority of the first game today of that crazy game that everybody was talking about on Twitter. So if that game is any indication of what we got to look forward to, I think we're gonna be in for a fun ride this playoff.
Yes, sir. So obviously, as you can tell by the title here, this is going to be a full-pledged episode to the MLB postseason. We are going to give our predictions with this episode here. We're not going to talk too much cards. Obviously, there were some sets that were in pre-order that are up for pre-order or they're being released as we speak. I'm not going to go too heavy into those sets. Wanted this episode to be fully dedicated to an MLB postseason bracket. Those set breakdowns, what can you expect with those sets, things of that nature. That will be for next week's episode, just because next week's episode we'll be breaking down some postseason games and obviously talking some cards. So, and obviously, whoever's performing well in the postseason, take a look at their card market and see if the market is reacting or the people are reacting to the way the players performing. If they're performing good, are they market going high? If they're performing bad, are they selling off? So take a look at all that here. So this is going to be a full pledge posting the bracket. Hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. Again, if you guys have been enjoying the episode, if you're watching on YouTube, please feel free to leave a like, comment down below, and please feel free to hit the subscribe button. That is a free way, obviously, to help support the channel and help support the podcast. And if you're listening onto Apple and or Spotify, please feel free to leave a rating and comment down below, because obviously that is a free way for me to get some open criticism, because myself, Bro Pio, we are always open to some open criticism so we can see what we need to do to improve this podcast. Now, hopefully this episode is out Tuesday morning, if not Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, just because I'm not too sure what the editing is going to look like. And obviously with that doubleheader that we just hit on, it put a little bit of a delay into the recording. My thought process was to record on Sunday, have this up by Monday, but obviously the Mets and the Braves and the D-backs want to be in this three-way tie. And then they delayed not just our podcast, they basically delayed every MLB podcast. I think everybody's recording tomorrow. Some people are live streaming right now. So I was like, we're all going to be getting everybody's podcast. But of course, with the Braves, and I'm sorry, with the Mets winning game one, they have clinched their playoff spot here. And then obviously the big thing here was going to be game two. If the Mets ended up sweeping, the D-backs were going to find the way into the D-backs were going to find the way into the postseason. If they split it, it was going to be a very awkward situation, which it very was. I don't know, not too sure if you saw the video on Twitter where the Braves and the Mets players kind of met on the field together with the goggles. It was kind of weird there. I can't hear you.
Oh,
There you go.
sorry, I was
Okay.
on mute. I'm coughing every now and then, so if I'm muting myself, I don't cough. But yeah, no, I did see it. They were celebrating. I thought that was weird as hell. I'm like, dude, y'all were just battling it out in the first game, and then I guess all see. Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah, it looked
Weird.
very weird, looked very awkward, especially for two teams that have such like bad blood with each other. I don't want to say bad blood, but it's more of like the Braves ruining the Mets series or like ruining their season. It's very weird, but obviously I
Yeah,
know off the field they're obviously very close friends. I would assume, especially with like Francisco Lindor, everybody like that, Ozzy Albies. I'm pretty sure they're all close friends. So I thought that was pretty interesting to see. But of course, the Mets and the Braves end up splitting the series. So the D-backs have now officially are out of the playoffs. They will not be heading back to the postseason and or to the Fall Classic. Would have been nice to see them go back, but unfortunately, they are not. So we have our playoff picture officially set. Now I'm gonna leave it up to you, Bro Pio. Where do you want to start off? Do you want to start off in the American League or do you want to start off in the National League? That recently just got set, because we've known about the American League for a few days now, so we've had some time to look at it. The NL, we're kind of looking at some rosters. We're kind of, I don't want to say scrambling, but we're kind of looking to see, okay,
yeah.
what team has this? How's everybody performing? So I'm gonna let you lead the way. Where do you want to start? The NL or the AL?
I mean, we can start with the AL.
AL?
Yeah, we can start with the AL.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna start off with the AL. Now the AL is officially gonna piss me the fuck off because the Boston Red Sox should be here, but obviously they are not. So I'm already in a bad mood talking about this. But obviously we had the playoff picture set for the AL a couple of days ago. We have the Detroit Tigers going against the Houston Astros. We got officially the Detroit Tigers were the 6th seed and the Houston Astros as the 3rd seed in our wild card. And then the other wild card round, we got the Kansas City Royals and the Baltimore Orioles. And then obviously we got the Cleveland Guardians, or I like to say the GABA Guards, and the Yankees getting their bye week Now I'm gonna let you start off here again, kind of let you lead the way. What series are we previewing first? Are we going to preview the Astros Tigers, or we're going to go the battle of the mid teams? In my opinion, the Orioles and the Royals.
So let's go with let's start with the Astros and the Tigers. I know you said you had a little bit of a tough time picking between the two, so let's start there. Um, I think the thing that makes these wild card rounds more interesting, it's a best of three. So I mean, really, that first game is so important to set the tone right. So between the Astros and the Tigers, I am actually picking the Tigers on this one. Just because, again, the reason why is that first game. I'm thinking of that first game, but the Tigers throw out Scoobo and he deals. The Astros are already on the back burner, and I don't really necessarily like Houston starting pitching, besides Framber and of course Kikuchi. But yeah, I think they put two. I don't know who's going game one for the Astros. I don't even know if they've released that yet.
I believe it's
Um,
Framber Valdez, if I'm not
is it going
mistaken.
to be Framber?
Let me fact check that really quick. I believe it is going to be Framber.
I would assume
Yes,
it'd
it is
be
Framber.
Framber. Okay,
Battle of the
so I would assume
lefties.
Kikuchi would go to. Um, but yeah, I'm rolling with the Tigers on this one. I'm going with the upset, the young gun in Detroit Tigers. They ended the season on a roll. They're not going to suffer from that long break that I think tends to hurt those first and second seed teams. And Houston, I know people are like, "Oh, don't sleep on Houston," but again, it's not the same Houston teams that have been in the LCS for the past 7 years. I think if they make it to the ALCS this year, it'll be 8 straight years that they're there.
Each straight
But
years,
I
yeah.
don't think it's gonna roll that way. And I think I'm not even too sure. I think from the last heard, Jordan is still questionable. I don't know if I think I heard that he took like practice swings today, but I don't know how that went. Um, so with that offense too, just in question, if there's no Jordan, I don't know how that offense is gonna push its way through. And again, I think it's very when it's a 3 game set, like it's you don't have a lot of opportunity to miss. You got to hit on all cylinders, and so I'm gonna roll with the Tigers on this one.
Very nice. So yeah, like I texted you last night because I dove deep into team stats and player stats as well last night, kind of trying to find some underliers as far as of who's going to be the dark horse, who's going to be this person that maybe not a lot of people are talking about that could potentially lead their team into a postseason run. And if you didn't see my last video where I talked about MLB rookies, I did talk about Cole Keith. He's a guy that I'm very high on as far as the Detroit Tigers site, and he's had a very well second half. But yeah, for that reason alone, I was having a real hard time picking a winner for this series. I do, unfortunately, this is where bragging rights is officially going to come into play because obviously we see each other at home all the time. We say like, oh, we got this, we got that, but now we officially got bragging rights on official recording on the podcast. But do have the Astros taking this series. I do have them taking the series 2-1. It kind of kills me a little bit to say that as well. But yeah, the main thing here for me was going to be Scooble. If they win game one, it obviously could flip side. Scooble did pitch against the Astros this year. In 2 games, he went 12 and 2/3, 1-1 with a 4.26 ERA with 9 strikeouts and 3 walks. So it wasn't as dominant as he had this year. So it is something to keep in mind. The Astros have seen him before. You do bring up a good point with Jordan Alvarez. When the last I heard, he was dealing with some soreness and inflammation. So I don't know exactly how that cleared up. I think I was watching ESPN and Tim Kirchin mentioned something about that he still wasn't looking too good as well. And for me, these are two teams that have been hot at the appropriate time. Obviously, the Tigers have been doing what they're doing since July 1st. The Detroit Tigers are 48 and 30, and since July 1st, the Astros are 46 and 32. So they're both dead even. They're 2 games apart. Obviously, people also failed to tell and recognize that the Astros were like, what, 10 games below 500, 10, 15 games below 500, something like crazy like that. They got off to an extreme slow start.
Yeah.
So we have a team that's been playing well since June, and we have a team that's been playing well since August. So I think that's something here that we do that I took a lot into consideration. The Astros offense, in my opinion, is a lot better. They were 11th in runs with 740. They're third in average. They're 10th in home runs. And the big thing for me is they don't strike out. They're the third fewest team in strikeouts. So they're going to make Scuba work. I think they're going to make that pitching rotation work a little bit. I do like the Tigers bullpen a lot. I think Jackson Jobe is the dark horse. So if the Tigers do go far, he is going to be a part of that because I think that's also worrying me about the Tigers is that pitching staff. Because after School Bowl, who do you go to? Do you go to Reese Olson? Do you go to somebody else? That's the thing that I'm a little bit worried about when it comes to overall to the Tigers. When it comes to the Astros, like you mentioned here, we have Framber Valdez going game one. We got Kikuchi. We got Hunter Brown. We got Spencer Arrighetti. He kind of struggled his last couple of starts, but he's been performing really well. Ronel Blanco, I still think is a good pitcher. And then we got, of course, the three-headed monster in the bullpen. Josh Hader got off to a little bit of a slow start, but he's done well after that, April, May. Brian Abreu's also done well. Ryan Presley, he's been there, done that. So I think that bullpen is going to carry them a little bit. And again, a dark horse I would consider as well is going to be Justin Verlander. He struggled a lot since coming back from injury, but obviously he is a veteran that can lead that staff. He's been there, done that. So I wouldn't be surprised that if they find a way to get this done somehow, some way. I wasn't leaning a lot towards the Detroit Tigers. I really do want them to push further. I think that also the AJ Hinch returning to Houston, I think they did
Yeah.
him very dirty. So I think in my end, if I'm wrong, if the Detroit Tigers find a way to take this series, I think in the end, seeing AJ Hinch succeed after going back to Houston after what he was named or what they did to him with the whole sign stealing scandal, I think it's going to be good for him and good for baseball. I think he needs to clear his name. I think he's done that already, but to lead this team and that I don't know if you saw the celebration they did in the clubhouse. That celebration was fucking cool. Like I'm not even a Tigers fan,
Yeah.
and that made me want to run through the wall. He's like, I asked you guys what you want to be in like August or July. I guess I want to be a playoff team, and he started ringing the shit. Man, if I'm a Detroit Tigers fan, I'm running through a fucking brick wall. Like that was cool. So yeah, but again, I do have the Astros taking this series at 2-1. Unfortunately, I don't. People always get the perception too from my personal account that I hate the Astros. I don't hate the Astros. I've tipped my cap to them for a long time. My fiance is looking at me here, but no, I don't hate the Astros. They'll be fine. I don't hate them, and plus, I expect them to be a Red Sox in the NFL offseason. So
Yeah, I'm going sneaky sweep Tigers
sneaky
2-0.
sweep. Not even a
And
series. You're going to
Bregman
sweep.
going sweep.
Okay.
Bregman is the last one. He's gonna fly out somewhere, and that's his last at bat as an Astro. Calling it. You heard it first on
Not
Cardboard Dugout.
not only a series by the Tigers, you're going with a clean sweep. That's
Clean
bold.
sweep, brother.
That's bold.
Clean
That's going to be
sweep.
the clip on TikTok. That's bold. So we got 2-1. Recapping that here 2-1. Astros. Ropio has a sweep for the Detroit Tigers in a very shocking manner. And all right, going on to the second round here. Again, the battle of the mid teams, as I like to call it. The Kansas City Royals and the Baltimore Orioles. Since you took the lead way in the first one, I guess I'll go ahead and give my prediction here on this one. This one, very mid teams, in my opinion. They've both been pretty bad. In the head-to-head series this year, the Orioles led the series 4-2. Both are pretty kind of dead even. I don't think anything too crazy about them. They're kind of same within runs scored. The Orioles do hit a little bit more home runs. I don't say a little bit, a lot more home runs. They're second in home runs in league wide with 233 compared to the Orioles. The Royals, I'm sorry, with 168. They do also, the Royals will not strike out a lot as well. So that's something that is to keep an eye out here as far as on their end. Their pitching, though, is what separates them. The Royals pitching is a lot better than the Baltimore Orioles. And I think that's going to be the separator. Team ERA, Royals had a 3.77, bullpen 4.16, and starter ERA sitting at 3.56. Royals, or the Orioles sitting at 3.96, team ERA 4.24, bullpen ERA, and a starter ERA of 3.77. And I like to say battle of the mid teams, and people probably, why are you saying battle of the mid teams? Because they've been mid. Since July 1st, the Royals have been 39-37, and the Orioles have been 38-40. So very mid on both aspects of the ball. But with this one here, I do have the Royals. I'm sweeping the series. This one here, I do got a sweep. I do have them taking the series 2-0. The matter of the fact here is going to be the pitching. After Corbin Burns, who hasn't really been performing well in his last 10 starts here, he's 4-5 with a 4.04 ERA. But after that, with Grayson Rodriguez no longer being able to pitch this series, there's really nobody else to give the ball to. I mean, you can go Zach Eflin, who's been pretty solid, but then after that, you're going to Dean Kramer. And that bullpen is also an issue for me as well when it comes to the Baltimore Orioles. With the Royals, of course, you got Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo, Michael Waka, and that bullpen has been pretty good since they made some career key just to Ursig and guys like that. So, yeah, Clean sweep for me, very easy. Royals 2-0.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I'm going with the Royals just for the fact that I think their pitching is a lot better set up than the Orioles. Um, Especially that bullpen, man. Like I'm looking right now at their bullpen, and literally, like I don't know who they would give the ball to, like if it comes into a tight situation. Um, and then aside from Corbin Burns starting, their starting rotation looks like it's in a trouble. Um, and so I'm gonna give the edge to the Royals. But I'm gonna go 2-1 on this one. I think the Orioles will probably sneak in one. Maybe they'll slug their way to a victory, but I think after that, I think the Royals are gonna hold this one down. This will be Bobby Witt's playoff debut, so I'm kind of excited to
Yep.
see how that's gonna go. See how he does in there, which I'm pretty sure he'll do good. Um, but yeah, I got the Royals on this one, 2-1.
And I guess like a little bit of a question since we both have the Orioles losing before we obviously this is more like offseason talk, but just kind of get a quick little thought on it. If the Orioles do not go far, obviously last year being swept by the World Series champions at that
The
time, Texas
Rangers,
Rangers,
yeah.
are you a little bit worried about their future as far because obviously, people are probably saying that Moon Three, but what the hell are you talking about? They have young stars, but obviously this team and ownership has kind of already said or kind of already hinted that they're maybe not throwing the money to go get some pitching, which obviously what they need. If it's back-to-back losses like this, are you a little bit concerned about their future as far as what they can do? Obviously, they have a lot of talent, a lot of prospects, but obviously this is going to be back-to-back series where they fail to get past or even get to the ALCS or maybe even the World Series as well.
Were they the 1 seed last year, or were they the second seed? Did they have the bye? They had the bye, right? I can't remember.
Yeah, they had to buy. Yeah, they had to buy.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, if they're not gonna spend the money, what I honestly think they do, they need to take one of these or two of these prospects, and they need to go and get um another starter. I mean, I don't know if Corbin Burns. I don't. He didn't resign, right? Is he gonna be a free agent?
Free agent at the end of the year. Yep.
Right. Okay. So I mean, if they're gonna I would throw some money at Corbin Burns, and then maybe try to flip a prospect for a proven starter. And I think you can honestly rebuild the bullpen through free agency, but I really think that's their biggest issue is their pitching. Because 1 through 9, I mean, they're pretty dangerous. That's why I'm saying that's why I think they're gonna probably slug their way to one victory. Um, but other than that, it's the pitching. I think that's gonna be, and I think that actually might be a common um problem for a lot of these teams that don't get far. It's gonna be the pitching. Um, but I think if they were to get, if they do in fact lose this round, again failed to get. Well, yeah, they actually went back. They started in the ALDS, and now they're going back to the wild card round. So if they fall out again, yeah, I really think they need to take a look at their how they need to rebuild their pitching.
Yeah, the way I kind of see it here on my end is like I kind of compare it to the Boston Red Sox a little bit, having the 2016, 2017 early exits, and obviously 2018, going and getting a Chris Sale. Obviously, we already had David Price, but obviously getting those reinforcements. So I kind of see them kind of in that same aspect where I think they kind of got it. They have to make a move in the offseason. That's like you mentioned, signing a Corbin Burns, maybe going out and getting one of those. Obviously, we always bring up the Mariners because the Mariners are obviously they're going nowhere, but maybe getting one of those controllable young starters, George Kirby, one of those kind of type of guys for those top prospects. I don't know if you traded Jackson Holiday. He's kind of struggled since he's been here. I still think he's a heavy favorite. Ain't going to be a favorite for a long, long time. But one of the guys, Jordan Westerberg, kind of those guys. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do, and if they do have an early exit, to see how that front office responds to these back-to-back early exits. Now, heading back up to the bracket. Now, this is where it might be a little bit confusing for our viewership because we have two different teams in those brackets. I have the Guardians and the Astros, and obviously you have the Guardians and the Royals. So since we're two different, I thought maybe you would have picked the Astros, but I'll be completely honest. So since we're a little bit different here, I'm gonna let you lead the way. Or do you have the Guardians finding their way to the ALCS, or do you have the Detroit Tigers making their way back for the first time since 2013?
I got the guards on this one. I think, like I said, I like the Tigers in their first round. I think they're gonna, like I said, I think they're gonna sweep and they're gonna ride in that momentum. But I think they're gonna run into the Guardians, who, um, I think is a better overall team than them. That bullpen is just disgusting. I am trying to pull them up again here, and my thing is not messing up. Give me one sec, real quick. I had all this pulled up. Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, so they're like I said, their bullpen is absolutely disgusting. Um, they got really hardly nobody with an ERA over 2. Like everybody's like lower than 2. Like that's just insane to think. Their starters are a little bit iffy, but if the starters can go at least 5 innings, 4 innings if you want to get them 4, 5, 6 innings, hand it over to the bullpen. I mean, I think that's a recipe for an easy win. I want to say, and then of course they're led by Jose Ramirez. Those guys, I think they're gonna pull this one through, and of course the division rivals. So yeah, I'm rolling with the Guardians on this one.
Yeah, just to put in some more context as far as of like what that bullpen has done. They're the best third ERA as a staff at 3.61. The starter ERA is 4.40. That bullpen ERA is 2.57. So that bullpen
Yeah,
ERA has been absolutely nasty. Obviously, like you mentioned, Emmanuel Clase having an ERA below 1, sitting at 1.0. Tim Herron, 1.92. Hunter Gaddis, 1.57. Kate Smith, 1.91. I believe the highest ERA I believe was like Scott Barlow under like at least innings pitch as qualifier. I believe his ERA was like 4.25, something like that. But yeah, their pitching staff, specifically just the bullpen, has been nasty. The thing that does worry me though about them is obviously the starting rotation. They really don't have those arms. You got Tyler Beebe, who he was 12-8 this year, had an ERA 3.47. Ben Lively 3.81. Carlos Carrasco struggled a lot. Logan Allen, Trenton McKenzie never really got on foot. So there's one thing about them that I am worried about. It is going to be the starting rotation. Like we've seen in the past, the bullpen can only get you so far, in my opinion. I think you do need to have a starter that can get you to that 4 2/3, maybe that 5, maybe push to that 6. Because like we've seen it here, especially in a short series, if you're relying on these guys to get some outs that they're not really too familiar with in the regular season, that could be some issues. And that overall to me is going to be a factor. Their offense too as well. It's a little bit different from years past, but they still, in my opinion, don't have a lot of boppers. J Ram, of course,
yeah,
39 home runs, just came short of the 40-40. Unfortunately, with the rain out, didn't get to a chance to do the 40-40. Josh Naylor, my guy, fun fact, knew him from when I was with the Missions. That dude's an absolute maniac. 31 home runs, but after that, nobody has home runs over 20. After that, I believe Stephen Kwan is behind them with 14. So obviously, in the postseason, you need to have that big moment. And if you're counting on 2 guys to do that, I believe that's going to be a little bit of an issue. So that's why, in the end, I still have the Astros going to the ALCS for the 8th time. I
for
have
the
them actually
eighth
taking the
straight
series
year.
for the 8th straight. I have them going and taking the series 3-1. I believe there is going to be a bullpen game that will help the Guardians, but I think that's going to be it. And like we've seen here in the postseason as well, once you do see arms, good hitters, good hitting teams like the way the Astros are, they do adjust. They've seen you multiple times, and they're going to make that adjustment. So in my opinion, I think that's going to be enough for the Houston Astros, and I have them going back to the ALCS for the 8th time and taking the series 3-1. Now heading down to the bracket here, we got I I think a very predictable series. We got Yankees versus Royals. Obviously the Yankees being the bye, clinching the AL East. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I have the Yankees sweeping. I think that's
Yeah,
pretty
me too.
pretty easy on my end. I think it's pretty simple as far as a lot. Juan
I don't
Soto's
got a
first
sweep
season
though.
as a
I don't know
Yankee,
how.
leading
I
the
don't think
way
I'd
here,
go a
along with
sweep on that.
you don't got a sweep. What do you got? Like 2-1? Oh no, 3-1.
Well, this is the ALDS, right? So it's best out of 5, right? Yeah, so I'd
Best out of
probably go
5.
3-1. Yeah, I think the
Yeah,
Royals will
I got a
probably
sweep.
sneak one at home, maybe. Yeah, just because I don't know how the Yankees pitching is gonna line up. Um, because I think somebody went down recently, didn't they? If I'm not mistaken, it was Cortez, right, Nestor?
Oh yeah, he's out. Yeah, officially with playing like elbow. inflammation or something like that.
Yeah, so I'm assuming they're gonna roll with Garrett Cole and then Luis Gill, and then or you can switch Luis Gill with Carlos Rodon. You can flip flop those two. Um, I'd probably think the Carlos Rodon game is probably the game that the Royals can probably take. Um, or maybe it's a bullpen meltdown. But yeah, I think offensively, I think the Yankees are gonna take this one.
Yeah, and that was my big thing here with this series is going to be just the overall offensive of juggernaut that the Yankees are. In the head-to-head series this season, Yankees led the series 5-2 against the Royals. They were third in runs at the team, ninth in batting average, first in home runs with 237. Pitching stats, even though that they have not were not kind of the best, they did have the seventh best ERA as a whole. Nothing too crazy as far as on the pitching end side. I think Garrett Cole maybe can find a way to bounce back. I know he's kind of had a little bit of an up and down year. Carlos Rodon, same situation, up and down. Marcus Stroman, he's been there. It's been a little bit, but he has been there as well. Lucas Gill is going to be interested to see how they use him. Clark Schmidt, things like that. The bullpen is a little bit questionable. Then obviously they'll play more as we move on to the rest of the playoffs. But obviously we have Clay Holmes. He's had his struggles. Luke Weaver, Tommy Canley. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Maybe the Royals do. Maybe I think you may have convinced me. Maybe they do take a game. But I'm going to stick with my guns here. I think the Yankees do end up digging a sweep and make their way to the ALCS since when's the last time? 2019? 2020? When they make it?
The Yankees?
Yeah,
I think it was 19. I think it was 19. It's either 19 or 18.
something like that.
Yeah, 19. Yeah,
Something like that. It don't matter. They haven't
who
won one, so it
cares?
doesn't really matter. Yeah, who cares? But yeah, have have them going the back here to the ALCS and meeting up here with the Houston Astros. That is going to be a 2020, 2017, 2019 rematch, whatever you want to call it. I have them meeting up again in the ALCS, and you have the GABA Guards and the Yankees meeting up in the ALCS. So since we're a little bit different here, man. So do you have? I'm gonna let you lead the way then. Who do you have going to
I
the World
got the
Series for
Yankees
the
going
AL
to the
side?
World Series. I got the
You got
Yankees.
the Yankees going.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just. I mean, you look at any of the all the other AL teams, and I think the Yankees are probably the one that's a little bit more complete than all of them. Like I said, the only thing that scares me about the Yankees is well, there's two things, and I guess I can kind of get a little bit more into this maybe when we get to the World Series where I have them for the NL, who I have them against in the NL. Is the end of the line bullpen of who's going to be closing out these games or who they're going to trust to close out these games, and the offense. Besides Judge and Soto, they need guys to step up. Um, and I think those are my two like those are the two things that worry me about the Yankees. But other than that, I think I think they're more well rounded than the Guardians. Like I said, we mentioned it before. I like the Guardians' bullpen, but I think having to rely on that bullpen in the first round against the Tigers, um, I don't know if they're going to go through them and blow through them too much. And so, if they're relying on them too much, I don't know if it's how much it'll affect them as they go against the Yankees, who are a better offensive team than the Tigers, and so it's going to put more stress on their bullpen, on their pitching staff. And so I don't necessarily think that the guards can slug their way or outslug the Yankees. So I'm giving the edge to the Yankees, and I'm having them in the World Series for the first time since 2009.
Do you have the guards winning any games, or like you have like what 4-2, 4-3? What's the series you got in there? I know it's kind of tough to predict, but
Yeah, I'd probably give it 4-2. Yeah, 4-2 sounds right. I'm debating 4-2 or 4-3. I'm debating if it's gonna go 7 games. Just because, like I said, I really like the guards bullpen, and I don't necessarily love the Yankees bullpen, and so I'm kind of like, But I think, like I said, I think the Yankees have the offense to get past the guards. So yeah, I'm gonna go 4-2. 4-2 Yankees.
and on my end here, I do not have the New York Yankees making it to the World Series. I have the Astros making their way back to the Fall Classic. You kind of hinted it there a little bit. I think what's going to put the Astros over the Yankees and any team in the AL is going to be one, the offense, but complementary to that offense is going to be the bullpen. I think that bullpen, again, I kind of hinted on there in the beginning rounds. Um, Brian Abreu, Josh Hader, Ryan Presley, that is a very good bullpen. I think the starter rotation is good enough to get them and carry over to the Astros. Is it going to be successful in the Fall Classic? We'll get to that when we get there. But I do not have the Yankees making the way back another failed season of winning or making it to the World Series. I have the Astros taking it in seven. It's going to be a rematch there of 2019, going back and forth there, Game 7. If it's a Minute Maid or New York, where whoever has home field advantage, I would assume it will be New York. But yeah, I just don't see where the Yankees can get there. In my opinion, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. In my opinion, and I think there's just a lot of veteran leadership on both sides. But I think the Astros have been there. It's going to be curious to see how Aaron Judge performs in the postseason. Obviously, he's had his struggles in the postseason. Juan Soto, like we just touched upon here, being his first season as a Yankee in the postseason. So it'd be curious to see how that plays out. But yeah, in the AL, I do have the Houston Astros making the way back to the Fall Class. It could be the biases in me, maybe, and maybe, yeah,
I'm
more
so
willpower.
like I yeah, like I said, I do like the Astros, but I'm like really worried about. I mean, that offense is fueled through Jordan, and so I just had to look at them. I had to look at it right now, and as of right now, he's 50-50. They still don't know if he's gonna make the roster as of right now, and they have until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to make that decision. So if he's out in that first round, like I said, it's a 3 game set, so it's like um it's so scary. And what it's a sprained right knee too.
Yeah, sprained right knee
So that's
for him. What I was looking at too for the Astros offense itself is like what they've done the last month or so, or like couple like Alex Bregman in 41 games, 12 home runs, 24 RBIs, 281, with a WRC plus of 146. Yanar Diaz, who's hopefully going to get some playing time. Dusty Baker is no longer here, so he no longer hates him. But he's has 6 home runs, 25 RBIs. He's hitting 303. Cal Tucker, who's made his way back in 18 games, hitting 365. Jose Altuve, 268. Victor Curtini, 268. Jason Hayward, maybe a dark horse, and who knows? John Singleton, guys like that. Obviously, I wouldn't expect too much about them. But I think the offense. I think yeah, you have a good point. If Jordan is out, maybe my postseason bracket is in shambles. But if he's there, even if I've 75-50%, I don't see. Obviously, he does play a little bit of the field. I don't see him playing the field at all. He's obviously going to primarily
yeah. There's
DH.
no way. I think
Um,
if he's gonna have to DH if there's even a chance, like he makes it, like he's got to DH. And I don't know who their regular DH is normally. I don't know if they have like a
I think they
set DH.
platoon.
I'm pretty sure they
Yeah,
rotate guys, yeah, to that. But yeah, if that's the case, then yeah, there's no way. Heck, I would DH them the whole way. If they do ride it out all the way to the World Series, I DH them all the way.
yeah. I don't see a spot where he's even touching the field on that end. But yeah, it's obviously going to be a very major concern. And hopefully he can get on the field because obviously baseball and playoff baseball is better when Yordan Alvarez in the lineup. He's basically a modern version of David Ortiz. That dude just reminds me of him
Mhm.
so much. Very
Yep.
clutch.
Yeah, me too.
That home run off of Robbie Ray last year, in the
Yep.
ALCS or the ALDS, that still lives in my head. That dude is absolutely is a
Oh
monster. So
God,
hopefully,
yeah, dude, that was such a massive shot, dude.
yeah, that dude's a mon. That shot just lays in my head, plays in my head every night. That dude's an absolute monster. So hopefully, the baseball and he's there, and obviously all baseball fans can enjoy some Jordan Alvarez in October. Now to make the transition here to the NL, obviously like we discussed it, we had some playoffs implications here waiting for this set. Um, I'm curious to see where you're going to be at now for these series. I think we would have been a little bit similar, but we're a little bit different. So but that's okay. That's good for the pod. We need that on the pod. We need some differences here so we can go back to it once these series do end and towards the end of the year as well, against maybe some friendly wagers. But let's start off here with the fresh series here. We got the Brewers and the Mets. I'll let you lead the way on this one
Really
here.
quickly, really quickly, really quickly, really quickly. Without naming any teams or without saying like who's who. So obviously we had the the Braves and the Mets playing right so obviously they both split, so they're both in. So do you have one of those teams moving on? Do you have both of them moving on? Or I guess I'm not sure if you have both of them moving on. Do you have one of them moving on? or do you have none of them moving on? Or if you want to say you have both of them moving on, that's fine too. But what do you think?
No, I have none of them
Just
moving
really quick. Okay, me neither.
on. No,
Okay,
I
cool. All right.
I
Yeah.
unfortunately do not
Okay. So
have them.
yeah, I can. I'm gonna go with. I think I kind of want to say the most obvious one, just because of some later news that we got later on today. But if you want, if it's cool, I'd like to start with the Braves and the Padres.
Yeah,
I'm going with the Padres on this one. I'm going sweep. And I'm going sweet because Chris Sale obviously was supposed to pitch game 2 tonight, got scratched with lower back spasms. And I think if from what I read that he is not expected to pitch at all in this wild card round,
I
if
did
I'm
not
not
hear that.
mistaken. Yeah,
I
hold
did
on,
not
let me
hear that.
double check. Hold on. Let me make
As
sure that
you
I'm
as you look
all
that
right.
up, yeah, I had the same thing. I have Padres sweeping the Braves at 2-0. I just don't see a way where the Braves can find a way to get there. I honestly think in the end, the Mets are kind of like, hey, we're in there. I really don't give a damn, and obviously don't think they really cared about playing that second game. But yeah, they're just too banged up to go anywhere. There's no pitching. The offense is kind of questionable on their end. Matt Olson has had a better September, better second half. But other than that, I mean, who do you, Marcel or Zuna? Like after that, who are you going to? Like Orlando Arcia, Soler, Kelnick, Urshela. Michael Harris has been healthy the last couple of months here. Ozzy Albies had the clutch hit in the first game, but I mean, after that, you really don't go anybody on the offensive side. And then when you look at the pitching, like you mentioned, there Chris Sale, that's a big question mark. I mean, you have Max Fried, Ronaldo Lopez, but again, after that, Swollenberger just threw in game 1, or technically quotation marks game 1, but I think that, and they put a lot of stress on the bullpen already. And Iglesias went back to back, I think. So I mean, there's just a lot of stress already on that staff, and obviously, if that's true about Chris Sale, I don't know if you're able to fact check that. If that's true about Chris Sale, that just further proves it more on my end. I can hear you. Muted.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can
Can
hear
you hear
you.
me now? All right, cool. All right, cool. So this is from MLB.com. Braves manager Brian Snitker wasn't sure if Chris Sale will accompany the team to San Diego, but he confirmed the top Cy Young Award candidate will likely be unavailable during this week's wild card series against the Padres. We're hoping with some more rest, we can get him right and get to the next round, Snitker said. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Sale is not going to make the roster on this one. So when I saw that, I was kind of leaning towards the Padres already, just because I think the Padres. I don't know if you probably touched on it already. I think they're, to me, I think they're one of the few teams that's built like good, like they're a well-rounded team, and so I think the Braves have just too many holes, too many injuries, and then now without Sale, like I don't think there's a chance for these guys. And so I'm rolling with the Padres with the clean sweep.
Yeah, yeah, I have a clean sweep on my end. Like you mentioned, they're one of the more complete teams. I still think there is a little bit of question marks, and obviously we'll touch upon there as we move on. But yeah, their pitching staff has been good. Headline with you Darvish, Joe Musgrove, those kind of guys here. The bullpen is a lot better since the second half. Jason Adam, Tanner Scott, Robert Suarez, Matsui as well. That is a complete bullpen. Dylan Cease, I didn't even mention Dylan Cease. Michael King as well. He's been pretty good for them. So I believe that rotation is a little bit more built for them. But even I think even with the healthy Chris Sale, I still would have had it 2-0 just because again I still think there's a lot of question marks on that on the offensive side of the ball. They really don't have those boppers anymore. Obviously, you can obviously Acuna being out, Austin Riley, Matt Olson not being who he was this year. Like I just mentioned, had a better second half, but still not obviously Matt Olson from last year. Um, I think they have their issues, and I think that's why I have a Padres with a clean sweep. Now, as far as on the Brewers on the Mets side, I do have it 2-1 Brewers. I am going to give the Mets powered by Grimace and OMG. I am going to give them one game. But yeah, I still think in the end, the Brewers are a little bit more complete. There is still some questions about them, but I think it'll be enough to get over the Mets.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I picked the Brewers too. Um, I do like their. I think with them, I think their biggest problem is probably their pitching as well. I, their starters is don't really not too big on their starters. The bullpen looks like it's decent. It looks like it can get them through. But their offense kind of just scares me too. They don't have a lot of heavy hitters, I guess you can say. But I mean, they're led by Jackson Churio, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. William Contreras, Reese Hoskins, Willie Adames.
Willie
Um,
Adames on his
I
farewell
think,
from the Brewers.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna roll with the Brewers on this one, but yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think 2-1. I think the Grimace Mets will pull out one, and but I think Frank the Tank's gonna freak out on this one.
Dude, you just see
Dude,
his
his
videos the
videos.
first time.
I was dying at the one where he was like complaining, and then that's when the Mets took the lead.
Yeah.
Like he didn't know what to do. He didn't know whether to keep complaining or just cheer. It was so funny.
Yeah, afraid to tank, man. He's gonna have a bad little October here with the way the Dolphins are playing. I'm not a big football
Uh,
game. I know the Dolphins are struggling a little bit, and an early exit for the Mets. But yeah, you kind of hinted on there. The pitching, I think, is what a little bit worrisome for the Brewers. Freddie Peralta is basically their ace. And then you got Aaron Savale, Frankie Montas, Colin Ray, potentially. Tobias Myers has had a pretty good year, but that bullpen is a little bit questionable. The offense, I think, is what's going to carry them to the AL. I'm sorry, not the ALDS, the NLDS. I think it's going to be powered through Willie Adames. I'm really hoping Jackson Churio has a good postseason. I'm a really big fan of Jackson Churio on the card side of it. Obviously, do have quite a bit of his cards. But yeah, I do love me some Jackson Church, so hopefully he can, pop off this year, pop out in the postseason, show the world that he is better than what he was the first couple of months, and show why he's one of the youngest players to complete 2020. So I have the Brewers over the Mets here, being at a 2-1. Now, where it's going to get interesting, we'll go back down, and I feel like this is where it gets a little bit tricky. We got the Dodgers and we got the
so far,
Padres.
so far, do we have the same teams picked?
In this round, yes. In this
Right.
one, we do
Okay.
so far.
Okay.
We
All
got
right.
Phillies, Brewers, and then we got the Dodgers and the
And the Padres.
Padres. So we'll go down to the Dodgers and Padres. I'm a. Do I want to start this one off, or do
Let's
you?
let's start with Brewers Phillies. Let's leave Padres Dodgers for last. I think that's probably like the marquee matchup, probably if he. And it's a
Yeah, I
shame that
agree.
it's going to be best of five, and that's worthy of the NLCS itself. So
Yeah, I agree. For the Phillies and the Brewers, I do have this series a little bit closer than I think probably maybe some people do. But I do have the Phillies taking it over the Brewers. I have it under 3-2. I think their starting rotation, I think that's going to be the thing that's going to carry them. Obviously, the three-headed monster with Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola. I wouldn't really call him a monster, but Ranger Suarez is a little bit better than most people think. The bullpen is again a little bit more questionable, led by Matt Strom. I think he has had a pretty good year at sub 2 ERA. Again, there is still some question marks with that bullpen. Jeff Hoffman had a pretty good year as well, ERA of 2.17. But yeah, that offense there is going to, I believe, is going to be what carries them to the NLCS. Obviously led by Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos. He didn't have a great year, but he played 162. But those guys have been there, done that, and I think that's going to be enough to carry them to the NLCS for the third year in a row, right? Yeah, third year in a row.
yeah, yeah. I got the Phillies on this one too. I'm going 4-1. It's a 4-1, 3-1. No, yeah, 3-1. Yeah,
3-1.
3-1. I'm like, dude, I'm jumping ahead rounds. Yeah, anyways, I got the Phillies on this one. Yeah, I think you pretty much hit it on everything. I do like the starting rotation better for Philly, than I do the Brewers, and that offensively, um, those Phillies just smash. I mean, like you said, you mentioned Harper, Remuto, Trey Turner, Castellanos, Schwarber, like, and then those Philly on top of that, and you're playing in Philly with those Philly fans, those nutheads over there. Like, there's just yeah, they're insane. Um, yeah, I got the Phillies on this one.
Yeah,
No
and just some
question
context for the
about it.
the Phillies offense there. fifth in runs in the whole MLB, 784 runs, fifth in average, 257, seventh in home runs, 198. And they put some pressure on the base pass. I think that's also going to be one of the key things to watch out in this postseason is going to be the pressure on the base pass with their fifth in stolen bases with 148. And they did take the season series from the Brewers sitting at 4-2. So, yeah, I think the Brewers will unfortunately fall short of this year. Once again, they've seen that they always have find a way to fall short just a little bit here, running into some juggernaut teams, unfortunately. But yep, how the Philadelphia Phillies making their way back there, and obviously, like you mentioned, there the environment. I think it might get to those young guys a little bit, and obviously, Philly's been there, done that, so they're used to all that.
Yeah, I think they have like
Um,
they're a well-rounded veteran team, and then like I said, the Brewers. I mean, kudos to the Brewers. That a lot of these guys, a lot of the experts had they even had these guys making the playoffs. They had them probably sitting in last or towards the end of the division, and they won the division. Lost their
yeah,
manager to a rival. So to have the Brewers to get if the Brewers get to where they can get, if I think they get to here and they do lose to the Phillies, I mean, can't really hang your head low on that, considering what the preseason expectations were. So I think it's a step in the right direction for them.
yeah, for sure. You lose your ace, you lose your manager, and then you're in the NLDS. Even in the postseason, yeah, I think that I would consider it a win for the Brewers. And hopefully, I would believe NL Manager of the Year, Pat Murphy. Now to head over to well, like you mentioned there, you touched upon it there, which should be an NLCS series, but unfortunately, it is not. It's going to be the Dodgers and the Padres, a rematch of 2 years ago. Once again, where was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago, yes.
I think so.
With the Dodgers and the Padres.
Same
So
round,
yeah,
wasn't it too? The
same
division
round. Yep,
series.
yep.
Crying shame. Crying
Yeah, it's a damn shame what these two teams finally meeting up with each other in that year. But all right, this is where it's going to get interesting. I'm gonna let you lead the way. Who do you got?
shame. I got the Padres.
Padres.
You got the Padres too.
Game five. No, I got
I think it's
Dodgers.
gonna go. I think it's gonna go all the way to Game 5.
So do I. I have
Um,
Dodgers in five.
you have Dodgers in 5. Okay, yeah, I have Padres in 5. Um, I was kind of going back and forth on this one. Reason I think the slight edge is going to the Padres is I think there's a lot of question marks in the Dodgers rotation. Um, like I don't know what's gonna happen with Kershaw. Um, Yamamoto, this is his first. I don't know how much he's built up. He missed so much of the season, and I didn't really catch any of his last few starts, so I don't know what his numbers are for sure. So to lean on really him, you're gonna lean on Yamamoto. Sorry, I'm gonna go into their pitching staff right quick. If this thing did not close out of me. Okay. Um, you're leaning on Yamamoto and what? Bueller? And Bueller's been
Jake Flaherty.
Garbo. Well, Jake
Jake
Flaherty's there, yeah.
Flaherty.
Gavin
Bueller.
Stone is gone.
Um,
Glasnow's gone. Bobby Miller is not good right now. So that worries me for them, as there's not a lot of dependable arms in the starting rotation wise. Um, and the bullpen looks like it's decent, but it's just and then I mean it's the offense. The offense can power through for the Dodgers. But I want to know like how's Freddie Freeman? I know he rolled his ankle a couple of days ago. So I don't know if there's an update on him. There's only so much Shohei can do, and I think the baseball world wants him in the World Series, but I think it's gonna have to wait another year or two, or maybe even 3. I don't know. Talk to me next year. Um, but I think this is, or not even. I don't even say because let me take that back. And everybody in the world MLB wants Shohei in the playoffs. We got him in the playoffs, but if you want him in the World Series, we have to wait. But I think there's only so much he can do. Um, I know and again, they have stuff Mookie, they have Will Smith, Max Muncy, Teoscar. I know Miggy Rojas. I know those guys are there, experienced guys. But yeah, I'm really digging the Padres right now, man. Think they're just, I think they're well. I just like them I like their batting, I like their pitching. So I think I'm kind of giving away of who I might have moving on more, but I got the Padres on this one.
Yeah, this one I went back and forth on. Yeah, I was going back and forth on it. I do have the Dodgers taking the series here 3-2. It is going to be primarily built on the offense itself. To some context for what they did this year, second it runs with 842, fourth in average, third in home runs, 10th in stolen bases. They don't really strike out a lot. They're kind of middle of the pack at 19, so they definitely try to put the ball in play when they can. To answer some of your questions there as far as what they look like, Yamamoto, he had 4 starts leading up to here. 16th inning pitch had a 3.38 ERA with a K per nine of 11.8, walking only 2 per nine. So it looked pretty good. FIP was sitting at 2.29. That's for Yamamoto. Jake Flaherty, 6-2, 10 starts here, had a 3.58 ERA. I think the dark horse is going to be the bullpen. I think some guys there that may not be getting a lot of love is going to be Michael Kopech. I am a big fan of Michael
Yeah,
Kopech. I've been a big fan of him since his Red Sox days.
he's got like a 1 something ERA since he got to over there, dude. To do like
Yeah, the
flip the
Dodgers put
switch.
him in that factory. Yeah, the Dodgers put him in that
Yeah,
factory and they fixed him. I love Michael Kopech. When he was a part of that White Sox deal for the Chris Sale, I fell down on my knees in the middle of the Walmart because I love Michael Kopech. I think he's been one of my favorite pitchers. Um, Finally healthy. It's going to be curious to see how they use him because obviously he was a starter, but now they have him in the bullpen. So
yeah,
maybe that's something that they can do to work around that as far as of right now to get them over the edge. Um, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Michael Kopech. Blake Treinen has looked better in the last 18 games as an area of 0.49. Evan Phillips 2.82. But yeah, again, you do bring up some good questions there about the starting rotation. Walker Buehler did look pretty decent in his last couple of starts, 4.42 ERA in his last 8. So not great, but guy that's been there. But yeah, I think the offense is going to be what carries them. I I would say he's a dark horse, but he's not really a dark horse because of his name. But he needs to play better. Mookie Betts needs to play better in the postseason. Like
yeah,
I don't think it gets talked about a lot, but the dude, the 250 batting average hitter in the postseason with 4 home runs and 18 RBIs. Last year he went 0 for 11. Like if they're gonna go far, like to me, the Dodgers go when he goes. Obviously, the obvious answer is Shohei
yeah.
Ohtani as well. And it's going to be awesome to see Ohtani in the postseason, but it's going to be dependent on Mookie. So he needs to hit. Um, I love Mookie. I think he needs to do it. He needs to do it again. Even when when the Red Sox won the World Series in 18, he didn't have that great of a postseason either. He struggled a lot. He only
He
hit
hit. I
he
think
hit
if I'm not
210.
mistaken, he hit a home run. I think in the World Series, and I was like, it's about goddamn time, Mookie. Like,
Yeah, he hit
that's
210.
just unfortunately that's just the narrative of a lot of these guys that they just I don't know what it is. I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
he
think
hit.
you hit it.
Yeah,
Like
he hit.
if especially if Freddie is gonna be out, like Mookie needs to be that that offense
He needs to be
starter. Like
that
I said,
dude.
it
Yeah,
can't
he
just
needs to be
yeah.
that guy.
Like it can't just be show if they solely rely on Shohei, like there's no way they can get past the Padres. Like I honestly don't think so. But if you have you have Shohei, you have Mookie hitting on all cylinders, and if Freddie is playing excuse me, and is at least just decent, yeah, you can make a case for either or. But if there's no Freddie and Mookie doesn't perform, then I think they're gonna have a hard time um, making it out past the Padres.
Yeah. So in the end, that's gonna be the best series to watch. In my opinion, of all the series here, Dodgers, Padres, that's gonna be the best one there to tune into. But now to head into the NLCS, obviously we got some different teams here. We got the Padres and the Phillies on your end. I got the Dodgers and the Phillies. Based on the way that you're speaking, I feel like I already know your answer. But I'll let you once again here lead the way here, Bropio. I'm gonna let you answer what I believe the obvious answer that you have here.
Yeah, so obviously on my end, NLCS, I have Padres and the Phillies. I am leaning with the Padres. Um, this one I have going 7, just because I can do that, and just because I like both teams, and I think these are the two. There's very few teams that I think are fully like well built. Like I said, from your pitching to your bullpen or pitching and your offense, your batters. I think the Padres and the Phillies are those two teams, so that's why I think it's gonna go 7. Um, but I'm gonna give the slight edge to the Padres. I think it's time for them to get to the World Series. And so yeah, I have the World Series coming down to the Padres and the Yankees. Like we'll talk about that in a little bit. Um, but yeah, I like the Padres, man. I don't know what else there is to say about them. They're just yeah.
There's not much to say about them. They're a well-rounded team. I really struggled with them and going forward. So you have the Padres making the World Series for the first time since 1998, the year I was born. Fun fact. On my end,
There you go.
Dodgers, Phillies. I do have the Dodgers making their way back to the World Series for the first time since 2020. And I have them taking it in seven,
You got
ironically.
Rob Manfred screaming hallelujah. He's got his two baby boys in there.
So, and I think honestly, like as I look at it again, I have my reasons for picking the Dodgers. Like obviously, I just talked about I was just glazing their bullpen, and but a part of me just wants to see Shohei Ohtani in the World Series. Like the dude 50-50, pushing 60-60,
Yeah.
having him in the World Series. Like man, that's gonna just like yeah, that I'm
What a
all
season. I know MVP, first one to do it as a DH, started the 50-50 club. If they do, probably be NLCS MVP. What do you know? He's pitching in the World Series now all of a sudden. World Series MVP. Jesus.
yeah.
Top
So
Dynasty Black is
um
probably like, come on.
his his market is going to shoot absolutely up. If there's a way, I kind of talked about it here in a video, or I think I was talking to you on the side, like when it comes to analyzing cards or collectibles or whatever, like you have to really determine like what is their peak. Can they go higher? And I think the postseason for Otani is there is a different level for him. And it's going to be the way he performs this year in the postseason for the first time in his career. But yeah, the reason why I have it here, I think the offenses are obviously a lot the same, have some boppers, but I think what's going to carry them over is going to be the bullpen. Their bullpen is a little bit better for the Phillies. From in regards to comparison to the Phillies, the rotation I think is obviously the Padres. They have that over the Dodgers, but I think the bullpen and the offense is going to be a little bit better. And I do have the Dodgers making their way back to the Fall Classic since 2020, and making their way back and getting a 2017 rematch, Dodgers and Astros. And I guess since we're there, I will lead the way with that. Obviously, we all know how that 2017 postseason went with trash cans and the buzzers weren't incorporated. That was 2019, but we all know how that went. Um, I would say it's good for baseball, but there are obviously two completely different teams. Obviously, there's that history. There's always going to be that history between them two, but obviously they're two completely different teams. Obviously, there are also some players on each side. Ironically enough, Kike is still there. Obviously in the Astro side, you
I
got
know.
Bregman,
Yeah.
Altuve, Kershaw on the other side as well, Joe Kelly. But other than that, there's not a lot of guys on those same teams. So as far as a player wise, not a lot of history, but team history wise, obviously there's always going to be that history and that baggage. But for me, for the first time since 2020, I do have the
Oh
Dodgers taking it
boy.
in six.
You got them finishing it
I got them this time around. I do got them finishing. I got them doing it in six.
in 6. All right.
I think Yamamoto. I think we kind of touched upon it there again. Dark Horse, I think, he's been, I don't want to say he's been, obviously the environment's a lot different from the WBC, but I think he's
Yeah.
used to that environment. And obviously in Japan, they play some big games over there as well. So I think if he's healthy and he's worked up to where he needs to be, I think he's going to be a star on the postseason as well. And again, I've talked about the bullpen and the rotation as well. Again, Dark Horse is going to be Michael Kopech. I think Otani is going to break out. And again, if Mookie Betts can continue and hopefully have a better postseason than he has in the past, I just don't realistically see how this team can be beaten. So in the end, hoisting the World Series trophy, if it's in Houston and or LA, it's going to be the Dodgers in six.
Dodgers in 6. Who do you got winning the World Series MVP? Just off the top of your head. Boom.
Otani. I'm an Otani Glazer at this point, but now it's going to be Otani.
Yeah. Yeah. If he goes over there and just, yeah. Can you imagine the marketing that the Dodgers are in the World Series? Not even that. He's going to get obviously shown in Japan because you got Yamamoto and Shohei. Dude, the numbers that they bring in. It'll probably be like one of the highest rated World Series if not the highest
I think
world
so.
rated World Series.
I think this
Yeah,
postseason is going to break records as far as the viewership wise. I think this is honestly one of the more like open ended postseasons. Like
yeah. There's
obviously
not
in
like
the
a
postseason you
definitive
can't.
like.
Yeah, I mean
You can make
obviously
an
it's
argument for
tough
like
to
every
always
team
predict.
that's in here. Yeah,
Yeah, you arguably can. Like obviously it's very tough to predict.
yeah,
Like, but obviously some projections and like the way we're doing it right now, obviously we have our answers. But like nobody last year had the D-backs and the Rangers making it. But still, you kind of have your I think this team can win this because of this and that. This one you can make a case. It's a flip of a coin, honestly, between any team.
yeah. Um, so for me, obviously, I got the Padres and the Yankees um, in the World Series, and for the first time ever, I got the Padres winning the World Series over the Yankees. Um, I like them, and when I'm thinking of this, when I was thinking of like, man, what do I like, what do I think? What I got? I was like, dude, all the storylines that you can think between the Padres and the Yankees. Obviously, they made that big trade for Soto, so Soto is going up against all his friends over in the Padres. I'm thinking in my head, dude, imagine if Michael King was like the winning pitcher for the last clinching game. Like that's the prospect that the Yankees gave up. So I'm thinking of like, man, that's a lot of good storylines there. Um, so I got the Padres winning 4-1. I got the Yankees just winning just one little game. Just because going back to like my previous problems with I think from the Yankees is their starting rotation. I don't know what they're gonna look like health wise. Obviously, you got Cole. I don't know how he's gonna if he's gonna turn his stuff around. Same thing with Rodon. He's kind of mid at this point. Don't know how Stroman's gonna do. Stroman can be iffy. And then we're gonna see what Luis Gil has since his rookie season, first time through the playoffs. So they're gonna see how his do. The Padres, I mean, I don't think we touched up a little bit, but I like their starter rotation. Got Dylan Cease, Michael Keane, Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish. I like their bullpen that's closed down by Robert Suarez. Yankees, I don't know who they're going to go to close out these close games. Um, and then offensively, I mean, I like the Padres. You got Bogarts, Jake Cronenworth, Manny Machado. Profar had that sneaky comeback season. Uh, Fernando Tatis, I think he'll probably be a front runner for the World Series MVP. Just gonna throw that out there. And then you got the rookie campaign from Jackson Merrill, who's probably, if not going to be the rookie of the year, he's going to be second to Paul Skeens. But that'll be a conversation for another day. And then you got Luis Ariz, who never fucking strikes out. So I mean, what are you going to do with that? So, and then again, just picking it back off the Yankees, if they're not powered by Soto and Judge, there's not a lot of answers for them. And I think that's what worries me about them. So I'm rolling with the Padres with a 4-1 winning, and it's going to follow suit. We're going to have back-to-back years for first time ever World Series champs. And yeah,
Very, very interesting. So you got a 1998 rematch between the Padres and the Yankees. I got a 2017 rematch between the Houston Astros and the Los Angeles
I didn't even know they,
Dodgers.
they, they faced each other in 1998. I didn't even look that up. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
I think the
shit!
Yankees swept them. Let me look it up really quick. I think they swept them. Yeah, the Padres are going on to lose in a sweep to the Yankees in the World Series in 4 games.
Wow. All
That's
right.
where
Yeah.
they
There,
beat
well,
the
there you go. Add
98.
another. Add more. Add more to the storyline. You got the Soto trade. You got the 1998
That's for that
rematch.
famous song, the 98 Breeze.
Uh,
Is that what that song is? Yeah, cheaper and left. Something, something, something. Yeah,
wait.
drove up and chipper.
Hold on.
98 Breeze.
Andrew and Chipper, gonna be hard to keep up with the Joneses. And as fate would have it, that Atlanta Magic got put out by damn that Padres.
Apologize there for the technical difficulties there. Had a little bit of a switch of the headphones there for Bropio. But yeah, we got our postseason there. I got the Dodgers taking it in 7. What did I say? Dodgers in 6. I'm sorry. He has a surprising Padres taking it in 5. So the World Series, in our opinion, is going to the West Coast. Who it's going to go to? We'll
Yeah.
find out. I think again, it's going to be a very interesting postseason. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll try to react to games as they go. I don't necessarily. I think it's going to be a little bit difficult because obviously those games happen every day. So more than likely, what I'm having in my head is we'll record on Sunday. We'll let the week go by, let those games go through, record on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, and then have those games, have those recaps and whatever's going on in the trading card market. Um, have that uploaded for you guys, upload on YouTube and or wherever you get your podcasting on that Monday morning. Again, it's going to be a very exciting postseason. Keep up with the socials. Obviously, we're going to be promoting heavily as far as of that. And obviously, if you guys have listened, you guys can follow through with what we picked. And obviously, sound off in the comments down below who you guys have winning the World Series, or you can tweet us. You can tweet me at Moon3PO and BroPO. He has a different handle, but he will be tagged in the Twitter tweet or post, whatever you want to call this, promoting the tweet. So feel free to tweet at him as well if you want to talk some ball and talk some player predictions, see who's right, incorrect, and obviously we'll go back to the pod, listen to it, and see who was correct with our responses and or dark horses. Now, before we wrap up this episode here, Bro PO, any final thoughts?
I guess it's just a couple things. I know we usually talk a lot about cars, and I know we've dabbled into like some briefly other sports, but we lost two legends today. The basketball world, we lost Mr. Mutombo. I don't know if you remember him. There's a center from the Rockets, and I remember him from the Rockets and the Hawks. We lost him, and then
He
of
did
course
the
the baseball
commercial with the
world.
no, no, no.
Yeah, yeah. And we lost him today, and then we lost the MLB hit legend, Mr. Pete Rose, who it's a crying shame. I even tweeted it out. I was like, it's a damn shame that he is not in the Hall of Fame as we speak. Um, so yeah, there's a nice little documentary I think on HBO. I've yet to watch it, so I'm probably gonna get into that pretty soon. But yeah, we lost those two guys, and on a positive note, I'm excited to get this baseball postseason underway. I think we have a lot of interesting matchups and some good games coming through.
Yeah. Yeah. The final thought I had there obviously was going to be Pete Rose. I found out on the way home, picking up some groceries, that he unfortunately did pass away. What's crazy about that too is he was actually at a Nashville card show yesterday. He was doing
Oh,
autographs.
really?
So
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I was watching a TikTok. His name is Big Z Rips, or Big Z Rips on TikTok. Um, and he's talking about that his dad just got his autograph yesterday. And
Oh,
yeah,
damn.
unfortunately, yeah. So I don't know how. I'm not too sure what the report read. I haven't really read into it too much. I'm not too sure what's been confirmed as far as like the reason for passing. But yeah, some really unfortunate news. But the passing there, Pete Rose. I believe he should be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm gonna be fucking pissed because I know MLB eventually is gonna put him in the Hall of Fame, and he obviously
Yeah.
had the chances here, but Rob Manfred told him no. Um, and I think he's gonna get there. It's gonna be a damn shame that he won't be able to see his plaque. So
Yeah, it's so like
uh,
it kind of irks me when they do this shit because they did the same thing to Barry, like where these guys are like scapegoated from MLB, but yet you see them like they get into the team Hall of Fame. Like Barry just went into the Pirates Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's in the Giants Hall of Fame now. I don't know if he is or
I
not.
believe so.
Right? And then he was the hitting coach for the Marlins just a couple of years ago. Same thing for Pete Rose. He was just inducted into the Reds Hall of Fame. So I don't get the like, hey, you can kind of like come in, we'll let you dabble. He was on Fox, like you had him on the damn pre-show of Pete Rose. I think you can see the clip is circulating on Twitter, but it's like him talking hitting, and it's like,
Hitting.
why the
I
fuck
watched it
are
right
you
before
gonna?
we got on.
Yeah, I'm like, how the hell are you gonna have him like on national TV talking about baseball and you can't even put him in your goddamn Hall of Fame? Like it's so stupid. And I think what makes it worse too is you got all these goddamn betting apps like sponsored by MLB. They're plastered all over the ballpark. They're promoting it. They have damn segments on ESPN, like what the over and under is, and yet Pete Rose is just chilling. Like it's so stupid. Anyways, that's my rant.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Me and you have always been on the same page on that one. But yeah, Pete Rose, rest in peace. Hopefully he's up in with the baseball gods there, and is going to hopefully enjoy the MLB postseason. Because like you mentioned there as well, I think it's going to be a very fun postseason. Definitely will keep up with it as the day goes on. Other final note here as well. MLB fix their postseason schedule, please. Nobody is going to watch baseball at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Please,
Oh
we need to fix
God.
that. There's no other
Mm.
sport that does it. Every other sport is in prime time. We need to fix the time. So Rob Manfred, fix the time. You can fix the jerseys, which is another final thought. Jerseys, all-star jerseys, coming back next year.
Thank God.
Got them
I
back.
think they're fixing the
We
lettering
won.
too. I read.
Yeah, they are. So we won.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna be buying some jerseys. We took a hiatus. Me and my fiance fist pumping here across from me because we were gonna get some jerseys this year, but we decided to pass
Yeah.
on just because those Fanatics jerseys were hideous. Don't shout me, Fanatics. If you want to send me some boxes of cards, please feel free to do that. But Michael Rubin hit me up. But yeah, we got the MLB jerseys coming back next year. So that's going to be fun to watch as well. Final thoughts here as far as our content creation wise. I know I've kind of hinted it. We got some good things cooking up here on our end. It's just going to be, again, some scheduling. As far as when I can get this going for us, a lot more in-person stuff. So you guys absolutely killed the vlog when I went to the card show, viewership wise and subscriber wise. So I really do appreciate you guys tuning into that. There's going to be more of that content because it seems that you guys enjoyed that content. So there will definitely be more of that. There's a couple of more shows coming up here in my hometown, a little bit more of a travel, but going to see if I can attend those. But overall, I would definitely be making more of that type of content. And as far as a pod as well, again, Sundays, Mondays will be the recordings, and then hopefully out the next day. I'm trying to think what else I had on my end. I believe that is it. So again, if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe if you haven't yet. That is a free way to help support chat. Oh, I forgot one. It will be down in the description down below. We are officially affiliated with Card Hedge. So if you want to go check out Card Hedge, link will be down in the description down below. That's a free way to help support the pod. Click on the Moon 3PO League, 7 free days. And then after that, obviously, they bill you. If you don't know what Card Hedge is, it's basically a platform where you can track your card, track slabs, track raw cards. It's a really nice platform, very easy to use. So feel free to check out the link in the bio. Will be also linked in the Spotify and Apple podcast links. So if you want to check that out, help support your boy there. But yeah, that is everything here I had on my end. Thank you for listening, watching, and stay tuned for the next one.